Erica, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Uh, is it possible to open the video because the university is mandatory for the Hebrew students to be with the video on. Also, it's not mandatory for me. Well, for contribution to the discussion of the course is more important for me. Welcome. Hi, how are you? Okay, what semester are you in?
What semester am I in?
Yeah. What
Uh,
semester? First year, second year?
well, I transferred to school, so it's this is my third year, but um, this is my second semester here.
Second semester. And the next year it will be finished?
Yeah, hopefully it's my plan.
Why not?
Mhm.
That's good. And Dejan, please make your video on. It is mandatory for Hebrew students to be with the video on in the session. Okay, welcome to the course ORG 4451. It is developmental, it is organizational theory and behavior. In chapter 1, we have some learning objectives, define organizational behavior, and describe how it impacts both personal and organizational success. The second is identify the basic management function and essential skills that comprise the management process and relate them to organizational behavior. Third, describe the strategic context of organizational behavior and discuss the relationship between strategy and organizational behavior. Four, identify and describe contextual perspectives on organizational behavior. And five, describe the role of organizational behavior in managing for effectiveness and discuss the role of research in organizational behavior. What is behavior, Erica? How can you define behavior? How do you think about the behavior? Is there any definition for behavior? Dejan, are you there?
Yeah, I want to say it's more of emotional. Behavior is more emotional.
Uh-huh.
It come off emotions.
Behavior is the same emotion?
It comes off your behavior is how you feel at the time. So I want to say emotion.
Yeah. And what is the definition of organizational behavior? How can you,
Uh,
with this definition you offer for behavior, what is the meaning of organizational behavior or OB? Erica, how can you define the organizational behavior? Is there any personal idea about it? You are muted. You are muted.
I'm not exactly sure how to.
Agent said the action of the emotions of the thoughts are what part it is measurable and observable, its behavior. It's correct.
Okay.
But what a this definition with two items of measurement and observation. Behavior is something that we can observe in other people and also we can measure with some scales. It's an individual behavior. Or some parts it's called popular behaviors. But at the part of organizational behavior, what does it mean? Organizational behavior. Can we consider an organization like a living being, for example, like a human being, like an animal? It's a living being. We consider organization as a living being and we put some organizational behavior for it or not. How do you think? It is not important your idea should be scientific or not. I want to know your creative meaning for organizational behavior. How do you think, Dejan and Erica?
I'm not sure.
You're not sure about organizational behavior?
On how to explain it.
Do you think organization is a living being?
No.
So it is not living being. But now we are talking about organizational behavior. For example, is there anything such stone behavior or mountain behavior or cloud behavior or sun behavior? Do you think these are living being? A stone, a mountain is living being? And is it necessary to have behavior? Is it necessary to be a living being or not? We can use everything that can be measurable and observable as a behavior in all particles of universe. For example, mountain behavior, car behavior, stone behavior, wall behavior. Can we consider anything which is uh, measurable and observable as a behavior or not? It's a brainstorming. Don't limit yourself. It's a brainstorming. Everything come to your mind, say to me.
Could it be how like how someone can I don't know how to say it, like how someone can interpret like a certain organization,
Good.
like how they look at it, like how they look at a certain
Perfect.
thing.
Joey, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Welcome. Can you make your video on, because it's mandatory for university to be at the session with the video. Welcome.
Yeah.
How are you?
Good.
Is everything good about the coronavirus or not?
Yeah, everything's fine. Everything's back to normal, thank God.
Your parents are good now?
Yep, everything is fine.
Perfect. Perfect. Because it had a lot of anxiety about the to be in with coronavirus, and the
Yeah.
recovery period, the duration of recovery after coronavirus is something like the same period of having coronavirus. It's in the same. I think you will involve about 1 month at least with the coronavirus.
Yeah, we were dealing with it for about that long. We were all cleared, I think, by the 29th, and it started, on the 28th, I think it was contracted.
Oh.
Yeah.
So perfect. It's very good.
Well, the 28th of November, I'm sorry.
They know. Perfect.
Yeah.
So now in this semester, you will be a good student.
I'll be here.
Yes, like always. Okay, we are talking about behavior, and Dejan said to us that behavior is something that we can see in others than action, and Erica said about the organizational behavior, and I asked about the consideration of an organization like a living being. Do you think that organization is a living being or not? Joy, do you think that organization is a living being or not? You are muted. You are muted.
A living being.
Is it necessary for having a behavior? Is it necessary to be a living being? For example, can we consider some types of behavior for mountains, for walls, for cars? We say automobile behavior, mountain behavior, wall behavior, or no, we cannot consider.
I think we use that in those contexts.
How?
So, maybe it doesn't have to be.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
I said yes. No, I know that it is a very basic question. Why I am asking such a question from you? Because you are at the basic parts of thinking about organization, not knowing about the organization. Thinking is more important than knowledge. Everything begins and starts with knowledge, but doesn't end with knowledge. It ends with attitude. The interval between knowledge and attitude is thinking. You can think about the knowledge and after that gaining some attitude. So let's go to the chapter and see what's the answer of is organization a living being or not. OB or organizational behavior is the study of human behavior in organizational settings. So, because the major part of an organization is the personnel, is the co-workers in human beings, maybe you cannot consider organization as a living being, but the elements and the components of organization are living beings. Why? Because they are human beings. So at first, OB is the study of human behavior in an organizational settings. Two, the interface between human behavior and organization. At first, the human behavior within the organization setting. Secondly, the interface or sometimes interaction between the organization as a whole being and individual as components of organization and the organization itself. So we have three parts: human being, organization, interaction, and interface. Study of human being, study of organization, a study of interaction between human beings and organization. It is OB, organizational behavior. You can see here, we have at the end, down part, lower part, organization, and the upper part is human behavior in organizational setting, and individual organization interface is at the middle part, the nature of organizational behavior. Why? Why should study organizational behavior? Studying OB can help you, one, become a better employee. When you know about the nature of interaction between yourself and your organization, better understanding, a great attitude about the elements of interaction. Every interaction, every communication has three parts. One, sender the message, and two, receiver the message, and three, channel for sending and receiving. This is the very basic model for every human action, every human communication. Or non-human communication, for example, for satellites, there is a sender, there is a receiver, there is a channel. It's very, very simple. Every type of communication at least has three parts: sender, receiver, channel. Studying organizational behavior help you to understand the relationship between different parts of organization with you and you with the organization. So after that, you will become a better employee for yourself at first, and secondly, for your organization. And become a better manager. It's very important. When you are a simple employee in a hierarchy of an organization, you are in the down levels. And when you are going to the upper levels as a mid-level manager and high-level manager, up-level manager, higher echelon manager, and general manager, you will become a better manager. You should know that the interaction between the different parts and different components of your organization. Understand how people behave and why they do what they do. It's very important. It's basically psychological part of organizational behavior. So during the course of organizational behavior, at the end of the course, you can have some styles and some scales for assessing yourself and your family members, your friends, about the causality, about the roots of their behavior, about the reasons of their behavior, why people do what they do. It's about knowing about why. At first, you should know what people are doing, and after that, you should know why they are doing what they do. It's very important. So it's a great course for you. It's something more than, honestly, something more than only knowing about the organizational interactions between you and your organization. It is about the knowledge and attitude and wisdom for analyzing other people out of your organization behavior, about the why they do and what they do. And after that, you will find how can you change and modify and transfer or transcendence or sometimes transformation the behavior of yourself and other people. Organizations that successfully implement OB principles have motivated, engaged employees whose goals align with business strategy. What is business strategy? What is a strategy? What's the meaning of a strategy? It's a major part of your bachelor and master and doctorate degrees. Strategic thinking, strategic management, strategic leadership. What does it mean? It is very popular now. Everybody, even in psychotherapy, we have a course so-called strategic therapy. Even in psychotherapy, in psychology, we have a course so-called strategic therapy. What does it mean, a strategy? Joy?
It's like a plan, like a long-term plan, right?
Oh, perfect. Two elements. One, plan. Two, long-term plan. But we have another major and more basic part for a strategy. Before plan and before long-term plan, we need a
thought.
we need a goal, a
Mhm.
target. Where do you want to go? When you want to drive your car, at first, what should you do? Arrange your GPS. How can you find how can you arrange your GPS? Is there your destination? If you don't have your destination, your GPS will be confused. GPS cannot say you where should you go. You should say GPS where I want to go. Where I want to go, where my organization want to go, what is my goal, what is my target, what is my desired outcome as a manager, as a person. Strategic thinking also the other thing that you will learn and you can use in your private life, not even in your organizational life. So when we say business strategy, yes, what are our business goals? What are our planning step by step? And how can we do them? It is goals align business strategies. Alignment is very important. Even in your private life, your personal life, you will find a lot of misunderstanding of your personal goals with your strategies. When your daily activities are not in alignment with your final goals. You are doing something else, your final goal is something else. It is confusion. We call it conflict between your roles, role conflict. You have different roles. For example, as a daughter of your parents, you have a role of to be a daughter, as a student, as an employee, as a, for example, girlfriend or boyfriend, as a human being, as a citizen of the US, in different chapters of your life, you have different roles. And when they are conflictual, you cannot do all of them at the same time. This phenomenon is called role conflict. Conflictual, playing the different roles of your life. And sometimes in your organization, we can see, yes, our strategy, our business strategy doesn't align with our goals. So motivated, engaged employees whose goals align with the business strategy. Strong leadership and direction. Basic question, what's the difference between leadership and management? Erica, what's the difference between leadership and management?
Usually like when you lead someone, you're doing the same thing with them. But if you're just managing them, you can you kind of just tell them what to do, or you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Is there any difference between leadership and coaching? For example, I am a life coach and executive coach. Is there anything different for my job as an executive coach or, for example, with an organizational leader? What's my job as an executive coach, as a business coach?
I would kind of think the same thing. You're kind of just like a coach tells you what to do and how to do it. well, I guess they still have some leadership skills, but they usually just tell you how to do it and what to do, while a leader would kind of lead you into it, and they do it with you if or anything.
Mm. How do you think, Joey? What's the difference between leadership and management?
I agree with Erica how management is just very like do this, do that, and the leadership will help you get through it. Just reiterating what she's saying, and yeah, that's it.
Yes, both you are right. But the major difference between leadership and management is about the timeline. Leaders are future oriented, non-leaders are not. The basic part, the basic difference between leadership and management, it is about the timeline and about the time orientation. The time orientation of the management is present moment, keeping and maintaining and improving the present moment, for example, outcome, products and byproducts. But leadership is about the talking about the perspectives, about the future. It is future oriented. Because of that, in this difference between managers and leaders are coaches. Coaches are people who think and determine the future based upon the present resources. It is coaching. Going from where you are to go to where do you want to go. It is the responsibility, duty of coaches. So, as you said, correct, but the major difference between the leader and manager is about the time orientation and vice versa. In every aspect of your life that you are thinking with a good plan about the future, you are a leader. Maybe it is not your leadership style, yes, or leadership position. But if you are thinking about the future with a plan, because of that, we say, honestly, we don't have anything. Scientifically, we don't have anything so-called strategic management. Strategic management is leadership. Why? Because the strategy is having a goal in the future, having a plan for the future, and having instruction for doing and achieving those goals based on your plan. It is a strategy. So a strategy is future oriented. When you say strategic management, you are talking about the leadership. Better bottom lines, what we want to do and what are our limitations. Okay. Planning, organizing, leading, and controlling. Planning, organizing, leading, and controlling are the major functions of management. And based on these resources, human resources, financial resources, physical resources, and information resources. Also, you should know that the book is written before COVID-19. Can you add any new COVID-based new resources to the manager resources or not? Is there anything that we should have for managing in such situations like COVID, and especially post-COVID, after COVID duration is not like pre-COVID? Never, never. Not because of the employees or management, because a lot of companies knows that it's very good. Remote working is a very popular style. And after COVID, it doesn't get back to the in-person and in-place working. Everybody goes to home. And after that, for example, for the 2023, having a home office is a mandatory part of a home. Why? Because everybody wants to have a home office and to work and make money. Very serious work. Why not? But after COVID, yes, people know and companies know, so good. No money for the locations of the company, no money for traveling to other countries. It's very popular to use there, for example, like now. I think, yes, we are all mixed together as a student, as an instructor, coming together, having some, for example, fun and scientific meeting, only one, for example, once a time in a semester, not every week. Every week we are here in Zoom. I think even after, for example, COVID, like I am going to Montebello or I'm going to San Diego, I'm here at my home and you are at home. Is there any new resources you think that we need to new styles of management after COVID or not, except of human resources, financial resources, physical resources, and information resources? What other resources do you think that we should have for post-COVID duration of management? What is the space we are talking together just now? What is the scientific and popular name of this space?
Zoom?
No, Zoom is the name of application. Is the space is
The internet?
internet, totally it's called cyberspace or digital space or virtual space. These are the new resources. It's something different from information. Information is the content of the cyberspace. So also you can find information in your library. But now one of the major resources after COVID, every company needs
Oh,
cyber,
technology.
cyber resource. It's very serious. It's something different from pre-COVID, before COVID. Why? In that part, it was about the connections, yes. But you have physical, as you see, physical resources, companies, buildings, and yes, and some part of communication and data collection was based on cyberspace. But after COVID, it is not only about the assessment and gathering information. It is about doing the real part and serious parts of job. So I think, it's my personal view, that after COVID, one of the greatest new resources, not facilitators, not tools, it is resources, it's a major part, would be cyber resources, or you can call it digital resources or internet resources. And something, for example, like Zoom application. And you see, now we have Google Meeting, Skyroom, Skype, and Zoom, and very popular. I think every day, at least the minimum rate, I have between 2 or 3 Zoom meetings, between 1 hour to, for example, 2 or 3 hours. It's about 6 to 9 hours per day. It's my job. It's about the money making, about the giving service to other parts of the world here. And it is, at one part, it is very good, very easy, very rapid. I love it. It doesn't waste my time for driving, for example, gas and other parts. And one side is not so good because face-to-face and intimate and interpersonal relationship is coming down a little. Why? Doesn't have a sense of talking, not to real people, talking to people in a real situation. Effects and side effects. What's the meaning of planning? Determining an organization's desired future position and the best means of getting there. Good advice for you as the students. Everything you are reading, find the keywords and remember the keywords. Only 20% from each 5 word, only 1 word is keyword. Only 20% of the material you are reading are the keywords at the worst scenario. Sometimes it is about 10%. From 10 words, only 1 word is keyword. For example, because of memory likes acronym, memory likes very, very short words. Memory likes it. If you want to have a good memory, you should know about the keywords. And after that, associate the keyword in your mind with your words. No, it's not important. Only the keywords. For example, in definition of planning, determining an organization desired future position and the best means of getting there. What are the keywords? Erica, what are the keywords of this definition?
For the definition of planning,
Yeah. In this sentence, determining what are the keywords? What are the best, hottest word that remind you, yes, this is the definition of planning? At first,
determining and future position,
future,
probably, and
determining, future, and
um, position,
means.
means.
And you can also delete determining, because determining is determining. Every part you should determine something. So we have two keywords for planning. One, future, do, means. If you remember these words and close your eyes and want to say about the planning, plan is determining about the future and how we can achieve that future, it is called means. It is not the same sentence. It is not important. You should offer your definition, but your correct definition. For your definition, you should know about the keywords. So for example, for definition of planning, we have two keywords, future and means. Yes, what type of future? It is desired outcome in the future. What type of means? The means that we can use for achieving. It is the elaboration, and you should do and you can do by yourself. But until the end of your life, always you know that planning is it about the future and the means. We want to have two elements for planning. Where do we want to go? It's a future. And how can we want to go there? It is about the means. Perfect. Huge. And best memory? Yes, best memory. And after that, you can find some method of visual memory. I have a good visual memory to watch everything in my mind where I am reading. For example, organizing, designing jobs, grouping jobs into units, and establishing patterns of authority between jobs and units. Joy, what are the keywords in organizing?
Designing
Designing,
and
perfect.
Maybe patterns.
Perfect.
Is there another one?
No. I love another word also. You might want, Erica, what are the keywords of the organizing? How do you think? Joy said patterns and designing. Designing the patterns are organizing, do you think?
Maybe establishing.
Establishing, okay.
Or-
Establishing is the major part of organizing. When you hear the word establishing, is the first word associated to your mind is organizing or organization.
Mm-hmm.
It's very important. How can you find the keyword? The keyword is the word that when you hear the first association to mind is the major word. For example, if you hear establishing, is the first word associated to your mind is organizing. If it is, yes, perfect. If it is not, think about the other parts. Designing is perfect because the major meaning of organizing is design.
Mm-hmm.
All the things to one unit. So I prefer choose units. Jobs go to one unit or in the unit, departments. And based on what is the major part of organization, the leader or manager of organization. What is the feature of manager and leaders or authority? Yes, one of the words that design to your mind when you hear the words authority is about the managers, about the leaders. What is the location of manager and leader? One of the greatest location of manager and leaders are organizations. I prefer these words, designing, units, authority. And sometimes If I want to choose another word, I choose the word jobs. Designing the jobs and grouping jobs into units. I am not in my memory. I am using the keywords in the units for establishing some patterns of authority between them, something like it. What is the designing jobs, grouping jobs into units, and establishing patterns of authority between jobs and units. Jobs, units, authority, designing, 4 words. Jobs, units, designing, authority. And leading, getting the organization members to work together toward the organizational goals. What are the major words, keywords of leading?
Work together and the organization's goals.
Only one word. Between
Uh,
organizations and between goals, which is more important, goals or organization? For defining leading.
Probably goals.
Absolutely goals. Okay.
And then the other one would be together, I can imagine.
Yes, perfect. Together, not working, not toward. It is together. What type of work together? What type of together toward together? Together is the central part of work together towards, for example, something. So you can consider getting together and goals. And sometimes you can delete getting because getting is there where we are using for different parts. But for designing, no, designing is very important. One of the best words for describing organizing and designing. Designing is very major concept in definition of organizing. But getting the organization member to work together, getting is part of together. So leading is also, I prefer sometimes to use members, because leading is members together for a shared goal or shared meaning. And finally, about the controlling. Erica, read the definition of controlling.
Monitoring and correcting the actions of the organization and its members to keep them directed toward their goals.
What are the keywords?
Correcting.
Perfect.
Organization and
Organization.
possibly.
We say the actions of the organization. Which word is more important, action or organization? In controlling. Controlling is for organization or for action?
Actions.
What do you control? Yes, you control the actions. What type of action? Action of organization. So I prefer to use action instead of organization. Yes, correcting, action, and
Goals.
others.
Members. Directed.
When you want to control something, you correct and you direct. It's the major parts of every type of control. For example, if you are parents, what do? Direct and correct. And if you are so obsessive thinking about the definition, you can use also monitoring. Monitoring, correcting, and directing is the major part of every type of controlling. Monitoring, watching, looking, and after that, feedback, correcting, and what type of correcting in the direction of your goals. So I prefer in organization use monitoring, correcting, and direction. If you can considering monitoring at the heart of the correcting, when can you want correct something? Before that, you should monitor it. Okay, perfect. So you can use only correcting. Actions, direction. What type of direction? Every type of direction is toward the goal. So the hidden meaning of goals is in the heart of direction. How can you direct somebody or something toward a goal? If you don't have any goal, it doesn't have any meaning for direction. What are you directing? Nothing. So I prefer, because you should lowering and reducing the number of words, 20% at the best scenario. The basic part is about 10%, or for example, 15%. So the less amount, the more effective. The less amount, the more effective. It is keywords, it's not general words. So correcting, directing, and actions. Use this procedure for studying. At first, it is a little more time wasting, I know, at first. But after, for example, 1 month, you see that perfect. Yes, when I was reading my chapter at first, it needs a little more time. But the maintenance and the consideration and the solidation and consolidation of memory is very good. After 2 weeks, after 3 years, you want to look at the chapter, you say, yes, planning, for example, current controlling, leading, because your job is, in these days, one of the greatest of your job is reading the course. Critical managerial skills. What does it mean of critical management? What does it mean of crisis management? Is the management we need in COVID is a crisis management? Is COVID a crisis? Why? You say, yes, Joy, it's a crisis. What are the features of crisis? Every type of crisis.
The first word that comes to my head is that it's just really bad.
Yes.
It's not.
A lot of things are bad, but they are not crisis.
Mhm.
What are the main features of crisis?
I would say when something's not under control.
1, controllability. Before that, is car accident a crisis?
I think it can be,
Why?
because some people could
What
die.
is the core meaning of crisis? What is the core meaning? The very, very deep core meaning of crisis.
I'm gonna Google it because I feel like I think I have an idea, but I don't know if I know the actual definition.
Erica, how do you think? What are the main features of crisis?
Kind of.
What is the difference between, for example, crisis, disaster, and accident, and problem, and difficulty? Every word has its specific meaning. What is the main features of crisis? Adija?
A crisis is like I guess unplanned and like not prepared for, yes.
Google is telling me that it is a time of intense difficulty, trouble, or danger.
Yes. Intensive. But what is intensive? The major part of crisis is that, yes, you are right, it is uncontrollable. But before uncontrollable, it is unpredictable.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have a good prediction. For example, for earthquake, we have some predictions, but it is not very accurate. It's very relatively correct prediction about the time and severity of earthquake in the future. At first, intensive, very serious. So it is unpredictable. It is very serious, very heavy, very intensive. And after that, yes, one of the greatest problems in crisis is uncontrollable. Because of that, we say crisis management. Crisis management is not about the prediction of crisis. It is about the controlling the effects of crisis, not the crisis. You cannot control crisis. If you can control, it is not crisis. It's a problem. And the mental unit for problem is not crisis management, it is problem solving. When you have a problem, what should you do? Problem solving. So we need 4 skills in crisis management: technical skills, interpersonal skills, conceptual skills, and diagnostic skills. That it is very important. The question I ask about the main features of crisis is about what are the features to define a crisis. Diagnostic skills, technical skills necessary to accomplish a specific task within the organization, because we are talking about the organizational crisis. Interpersonal skills are the skills used to communicate with and understand and motivate individuals and groups, team up and work together. Conceptual skills, the ability to think in the abstract. Don't forget, the keyword of concept is abstract. And the keyword of abstract, what is the keyword of abstract? What is the first word associated to your mind when I say abstract thinking? It is
Like outside the box.
outside the box, sometimes other words.
Hold on.
Outside of the box or out of the box thinking, it is creative thinking, not absolutely
okay.
abstract thinking. It is creative thinking. Also, creative thinking needs abstract thinking. What other words associate to your mind when I say abstract? Symbol, the
Symbol?
myths, symbols, yeah. The cues, the mental cues, abstract. It is not objective, it is subjective. It is not observable, it is perceptual and conceptual. So, what is the meaning of abstract thinking? When you can understand the hidden meanings in the words, that hidden meaning is called abstract meaning. It is not objective. For example, one of the best and greatest tools for accessing information about the abstract, when I want to know that my client has or has not a good ability to abstract thinking, I should ask about the proverbs. Can he or she understand the hidden meaning, the major meaning, the symbolic meaning of the proverb or not? Because of that, I think yes. For example, I ask my client, what do you think about the meaning of easy come, easy go? If he or she said, yes, when you go easy somewhere and you can come out or come back from that points of location, for example, so easy. It is not abstract thinking. It is concrete thinking. It is objective thinking. It doesn't talk, he or she doesn't talk about the hidden meaning, symbolic meaning of the easy come, easy go. But when you say, when you gain something in lower cost in your life, it's not important for you to lose it. It is the hidden meaning, the abstract meaning, the symbolic meaning of this proverb. So by checking the meaning of proverb in people, you can find the severity of abstract thinking in them. And finally, the critical managerial skill you need to have a good crisis management and diagnostic skills. The ability to understand the cause-effect relationships and to recognize the optimal solutions. What are the keywords of the diagnostic?
I would think solutions.
Perfect. B for solutions.
Maybe recognize.
Recognize what? The optimal solution.
Yeah. Recognize or problems.
Note that the first and before problem solving, the first stage in problem solving skills in problem definition. At first, you should define your problem, and after that, you should find your solutions. So, cause and effect is the major part. When I'm talking about the diagnostic, I want to know what's my problem, what is the cause and effect. The cause and effect is called explanation. Do you know the difference between description and explanation? What is description? What is explanation? I think I say to you, please, Erica, describe your problem. And sometimes I say, Erica, explain your problem. What is the definition? What is the difference?
When you describe something, you're just if you describe something, you're kind of just like I don't know how to say it, but describing, you giving out details, and then explaining, you're helping someone understand, I guess.
Other things, other keywords about the differences between description and explanation. Joy, how do you think about these differences between description and explanation?
I think with describing, it's more of like a step by step. And yeah, like I think explaining is just so somebody can understand.
One of the greatest
is it kind of the same thing?
In explanation or describing?
Yeah, isn't it kind of the same thing? Or are they just completely different?
When you want to describe something, you want to talk about something without causality. You only say about what has happened, not about the reasons, not about the causality, not about the effect. When you want to explain something, you are talking about the roots of what has happened. Describing is very related to your observations, but explanation is related to your interpretation of what have you observed. You have some cause and effect about your explanation. Something has happened. What have you seen? You say something what I have seen. It is describing. Not about the roots, not about the mind reading, not about the logical thinking, not about the emotional reasoning, nothing. Only what you seen. It's not related to your perception. It is related to your sensation. But when you give some meaning to the roots and to the cause and effect of the what have you seen, it is about explanation. In one aspect. In the other aspect, description is about talking to yourself and other people without any force to defense for or defense against something. You don't want to say other people that accept or don't accept your words and you're talking. But in explanation, there is a force to persuade other people that what I am right, I am talking is right. It is some other parts of explanation. Explanation has a lot of reasons, has a lot of causes. You talk about the causes and reasons. It's very important in diagnostic that you should have some explanatory talking, explanatory description. It is type of description. With the reasons, it's explanation. So in diagnostic part, diagnostic skills of crisis management, you should know about two parts, cause and effect and solutions. Okay, you see human resources, financial resources, physical resources, and information resources. And I said to you after COVID, we need some cyber spaces or the digital resources or cyber resources. Effective and efficient attainment of organizational goals, planning, organizing, leading, controlling. It is basic managerial functions. You see in 4 columns, planning, organizing, leading, controlling, and 4 rows, human resources, financial resources, physical resources, information resources. Together, we can have a good, effective, and efficient attainment of organizational goals. HR management, or HRM, is one of the greatest jobs you will have at the first steps of going out of university after you give your bachelor degree. The set of organizational activities directed at attracting, developing, and maintaining an effective workforce. Questions OB helps UR manager answers yes. Which applicants should be hired? Sometimes it is called job matching. Job matching is the process of choosing which applicant should be hired, and he or she is matched with our desired jobs. Which rewards will be more motivating than others? Also, in the ordinary life, you can find the reward and punishment system in your daily life with your mother, with your father, with your boyfriend, girlfriend, with your other friends or other people you have some interaction with them. There is a very basic, also not very higher functioning system. It's a very basic functioning system, but it is good for all mammals at first, for lions, for tigers, for mammoths, and also for human beings. It's very basic but very effective system, so-called reward and punishment system. The strategy context of OP. Competitive advantage. What is the meaning of competitive advantage in an organization? I have a question. What is the competitive advantage to come to CalMU? Why you choose CalMU? What are the competitive advantages of CalMU in contrast with other universities? Why you are here? Or why you want to study at business field or management field? Why? The answers are about the competitive advantage. Why do you don't want, for example, to be a doctor, to be a physician, to be a psychologist, to be a salesman or saleswoman even, without any academic education? You should go pass some courses and after that go to your work as a salesman or sales woman. Perfect. What are the competitive advantages of coming to CalMU as a university, to the business field as an academic field? What are the advantages?
You could be looked at a higher regard.
Higher regard, okay. Other parts. Why CalMU? There are university offering, for example, business for bachelor degrees. Why CalMU?
Honestly, sports.
Sports, okay. Why not? Why not? Yes. Yes. It's related to business? No. But this is a competitive advantages for Joy? Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And for example, the president of the university should know what are our competitive advantages. Why I am here as a, for example, faculty and not other universities. It should have some competitive advantage for me.
Mhm.
Competitive advantages are the advantages the organization give to the customers as an option to be chosen. And Erica, why you are here? Why CalMU? And why business school, for example? Why BA or MBA or DBA? Why?
Well, I went to business school because I want to open up my own business, but because of I just came here for sports too, basically.
Why do you want to go to school, to the business school? You cannot open your business without any academic education? Is it necessary or no? It's your choice.
It's also more of like a backup, if anything. Then I also have like other options if my main goal doesn't work out.
So choosing business school is a competitive advantage between other academic fields for Erica. Why CalMU? I don't know. I am here. I am, for example, trying that it's good or bad. It's the same thing I ask from your life and from your choices because you can feel, yes, it will be, for example, for my next organization, when Joy is the CEO of his her organization, yes, she will think that in a class, the faculty ask me why we. You should ask yourself why people should choose us. It is your competitive advantage of your organization. Why we? You should create something for competitive advantage. What is the title of competition? Competition with other companies, with other suppliers. If you don't, it's something like marriage even. When you want to marry somebody, you should have some competitive advantages. Sometimes it is beauty, sometimes it is social class, sometimes it is money, sometimes it is your kindness, sometimes it's your behavior. You should have some competitive advantage for attracting other people to your organization, to your private life, and other parts. And let's go to the book. An organization edge over rivals in attracting customers and defending itself against competition. What are the keywords?
Edge,
Perfect.
rivals,
Mm-hmm.
competition.
Yeah. Edge, rivals, and competition. Why? Because attracting customers and defending itself all are in one word, competition. It is the elaboration of competition. And what is the meaning of edge over rivals? About the advantage. We say competitive advantage, an organizational edge over rivals in attracting customers and defending itself against competition. Sources. What are the sources of competitive advantage? One, innovation. It's very important. What is the icon of innovation in the world just now? Innovation, having new idea in our company. What is the basic, big picture, big icon of innovation? What companies do you think? I think XMass, XSpace, XSpace by Elon Musk is one of them. The company with the major part of innovation. Other parts, other companies?
Apple.
Yes, perfect. The company says, I don't know, it's true or not, but the company says that we have always something new, not new options. Why after Apple 8, people doesn't love to change their cell phone? Why Apple 8, Apple 9, Apple 10, Apple 11, and 12 only have some new options? It is not innovation. And Apple knows it. The company is seeking for adding a new feature, a new trait, not a new application, not a new camera. It's good. Why not? But it's not innovation. But totally, when we are looking at the Apple, yes, perfect. Apple is one of the most innovative companies all around the world. Why? Because the founder was one of the most innovative brains in the world, Steve Jobs. It's a great motto by Steve Jobs. Stay hungry, stay foolish, stay hungry. Stay foolish, stay hungry. You can read about this sentence of Steve Jobs. Stay foolish, stay hungry. And he has a very good lecture in Stanford, I think it is 2005. Yes, 2005 in Stanford, about stay foolish, stay hungry. Distribution. It's very important. Which company has a better distribution system for distributing its products? Speed is very important, and convenience, and first to market. It is very, very important, very, very important in marketing psychology. It's not important to be the best. It's important to be the first. It's very important. We have a part of psychology so-called marketing psychology, customer psychology, business psychology. It's different from industrial and organizational psychology. It's other things. Customer psychology is business psychology. In business psychology, the great sentence is, it's not important to be the best. It's important to be the first. First to market. Cost, service, quality, branding, cost leadership, differentiation, specialization, type of business strategies. Cost leadership, striving to be the lowest cost producer for a particular level of product quality. What is the keyword? We are talking about cost leadership. We are talking about cost. What type of cost is good cost? The lowest cost. Differentiation, developing a product or service that has unique characteristic valued by customers. Differentiation is about unique characteristic or unique. And the specialization, focusing on narrow market segment or niche, or pursuing either a differentiation or cost leadership strategy within the market segment. The specialization is about narrow or niche. Niche is the specialized area you want to work at. And growth, company expansion organically or through acquisition. What is the growth? Keyword expansion. Okay? Any question? Have a 15 minutes break, and after that come here again. Okay? Now it is 11:12, 11:35. I am here. Have a good Okay, we'll come back and in the next 15 minutes, we will talk about the other PowerPoints, and then the final part you have about 15 minutes for your quiz. Okay, types of business strategies. Cost leadership strategy emphasizes operational excellence, and differentiation strategy emphasizes product innovation. And the specialization strategy emphasizes customer loyalty. So we have three emphases in business strategy: operational excellence, product innovation, or customer loyalty. We are working on the company, only operational excellence. We are working on the production, it is production innovation or production excellence, or no, we are only working on the customer loyalty and customer satisfaction. What is the major brand for customer loyalty in US? Which company has a good customer loyalty and says, yes, come here to us and we have we support you? How do you think about the companies, for example, in California? Which company, which store do you go every day or every week and say, yes, perfect? Is there any company that you are addicted to go there for daily shopping or other things?
Before COVID, probably Target.
Target. And Erica, also for you is Target. Do you love it?
Yeah, Target, or even with COVID, like Amazon's pretty cool.
Amazon, yeah. But for example, for return policy, Target and Walmart are very good for return policy. They create a good customer loyalty. Why? You feel comfort to work with Walmart or Target. Everything you buy, and after that, if you don't like it, no question asked, you can go there and say, I don't like it. It creates a good customer loyalty. Sometimes it is not good about the product innovation. Why? Because, for example, in Walmart, you can see a lot of not high quality products, no new quality. Okay. But in the side of customer loyalty, you can find a good services and customer services. And for example, in Walmart, customer services say you can come here and very polite people and say, what's your problem? I had some problems with Walmart. For example, I didn't have any receipt and say, I have lost my receipt. And they said, no, we cannot return your, for example, what have you bought? I said, yes, why not? I want to talk to your general manager. And after that, yes, they have solved my problem. Because you will be the next generation of leaders, you should emphasize on these areas: operational excellence, product innovation, and customer loyalty. It is related to the style and to the type of management you are doing. If you are a mid-level manager, what part you should emphasize? Operational excellence. If you are working on engineering management or production management, you should emphasize on product innovation. If you are working in the marketing department, you should work on customer loyalty. Maximizing the efficiency of the manufacturing or product development process to minimize cost. It is cost leadership strategy emphasis. So we have two keywords: cost and operations. Cost and operations. Differentiation strategy emphasizes product innovation. So differentiation is related to innovation. And a specialization strategy emphasizes customer loyalty. A specialization related to loyalty, delivering unique and customizable products or services to meet customer needs and increase customer loyalty. Scientific management. First formal study of observational behavior at the last decades of 19th century was 1819s And main goal was maximizing productivity. And guiding principles was replace rule of thumb work method with the methods based on scientifically studying the task using time and motion studies. It is very important. Have you know anything about the time and motion studies? It's a basic studies of management in the factories. One of the greatest centers for time and motion studies was California about 100 years ago. In the city that you know the name of the city, Hawthorne. Hawthorne, there was a company, there was a factory in Hawthorne about, I think, 50 or 60 years ago. That one of the first and best studies about the time and motion, how many times we need to do a motion in a factory, and how can we calculate the time and reduce the time for increasing the productivity. It was the very first studies about the how can we use psychology and sociology and observation scientifically method based upon the measurement and observation. Everything you can observe and measure, it can be a scientific method. So when we go to the factory, we should need we need some scales for measurement, and based on those measurements and with applying with our observations, we had some time and motion studies, and scientifically select, train, and develop all workers rather than leaving them to passively train themselves. These are the guiding principles of scientifically management in the first years of the 20th century. And manager provide detailed instructions and supervision to workers to ensure that they are following the scientifically developed methods and divide work nearly equally between workers and managers. It is a huge and great step, an evolutionary and revolutionary step in scientific management. Divide work nearly equally between workers and managers. Managers should apply scientific management principles to planning the work, and the workers should actually perform the task. Because of that, they need some near relationship together for planning and doing and feedback, and again recorrecting and correcting the planning. There's the nature essence of feedback is going forward and gathering information and recorrect and reform the previous step before doing action. It is called feedback loop. What are the outcomes of scientific management? Productivity increased. However, work was extremely monotonous, dehumanizing, and mostly abandoned after World War I. Human Relations Movement, or HRM, inspired by Hawthorne effect, I call this Hawthorne effect, people improve some aspect of their behavior or performance simply because they know they are being assessed. It is very important. I think that you can see the Hawthorne effect even in your familiar relationships. When some of your relatives, for example, your uncle, your aunt, wants to come to your home, you can see people of your members of your family have changed sometimes of their behavior. Why? Because they know that they are being observed and being assessed by other, for example, people like your uncle, your aunt. It is Hawthorne effect. It is the effect of observer on the observed. When you know that you are under control, you are being observed, you are being assessed, we can see some time of changes in your behavior. Because of that, it is called Hawthorne effect. Viewed organization as cooperative system and treated workers' orientations, values, and feeling as important parts of organizational dynamics and performance, and created a new era of more human, employee-centered management, not organizational-centered management, not product-centered management, not cost-centered management, not income-centered. It is employee-centered management. Why? Because during the studies of management in scientific method to management, we find that employees are very important, very, very important, and but was hampered by unsound research method, contextual perspectives on organizational behavior. What is the meaning of contextual perspective? How do you think about it? I know that you know the meaning of perspective and you know the context. But what does it mean, contextual perspective on organizational behavior? What does it mean of context? What's the meaning of context?
Um, context is like the background information, I guess, that you need to know.
Background, okay.
Like when someone says something, you can take it one way if you don't know like the context to why it was said, stuff like that, I guess.
Is there any relationship with the between context and the perceived meaning, not the exact meaning? The perceived meaning, everyone has its specific meaning of something because of his or her context. Is it true or not? For example, if you want to a person, is it very important to know the cultural context? I say something, for example, religious context as a cultural context. I, as a Muslim, has a different meaning, perceive a different meaning with you as a Christian, or other people as Jewish or Buddhism and other parts. It is not good or bad. It is equal, but the meaning are not equal. It is my contextual culture. Why? Because religion is part of, for example, anybody thinking about the nature, about the destiny, and about other parts. Or ethnical context, or racial context, even gender-based context, sexual context. And now we are talking about contextual perspectives on organizational behavior. What does it mean? System perspective, situational perspective, contingency, and interaction. For everything you want to know, you should consider three parts. One, the content. Two, the form. Three, the context. Everything you want to know. What he or she is talking about, it's the content. How he or she is talking about, it is form. And finally, what are the background of talking about? It is the context. Context is about hidden part, hidden meaning. For example, we have two types of countries: high contextual countries or culture and low contextual countries. Why? For example, in Denmark, as a low contextual culture, everything you say has the same exact, observable, and objective meaning. No other meaning, not second meaning, not third meaning. It is low contextual country, low contextual culture. America is middle. Some parts of America, people are very naive, and very simple thinking. Everything you say to them, they not accept or not accept, but they understand that the exact word they are thinking about the exact word you are saying. Don't think about the hidden parts or hidden meanings of your talking. My country, Middle East, is high contextual country. Why? Because we know a lot about the poetry, about the literature, a very enriched words and language. So every word has different meanings. It is high contextual. Is it good or bad? Not good, not bad. It is appropriate and inappropriate for some types of working. For example, for love, high contextual is very good. You should know a lot about literature for your partner and other things. For business, it is not good because in business, you want to talk about the contracts. If you are high context, every word can have different meaning for you. You will be confused. It is the importance of contextual perspective on organizational behavior. What the system purpose? System. It's very important to know the meaning of system by Bertalanffy. Bertalanffy was the first thinker, first researcher, thought about the biologic systems, and after writing his book, managers, other scientists, psychologists saw that, wow, the biologic systems that Bertalanffy has written about is applicable for other parts of biology, for example, for management, for psychology. Every type of human systems has some features of biologic system. This is the meaning of system by Bertalanffy. An interrelated set of elements, not one element, set of elements, and they are interrelated, two keywords, interrelated set, that function as a whole, three, whole, inputs are combined transfer by manager into from the system for output, share meaning. So an interrelated set of elements that function as a whole, inputs are combined, transformed by managers into output from the system. Value of the system perspective. What is the, as you say, advantages, comparative advantages of definition and working with system perspective or systematic thinking? One, underscores the importance of an organization environment because we are a system. Two, conceptualize the flow and interactions of various elements of organization. Conceptualize. The system approach to organization, you see input, output, and transformation technology. But the situational perspective, it is recognizes the most organizational situations and outcomes are influenced by other variables. We have two parts of, for example, leadership. Situational leadership and charismatic leadership. When you are a charismatic leader, it is not related to your situation in your organization, in your society, in your family. You are charismatic. Everywhere you go, you have an authoristic approach. You have a good power of authority in your society. It is not called situational leadership. But when you have a good situational leadership ability, when you are a general manager, it is related to your position of a situation in your organization. When you are a simple worker, you don't have any good, for example, leadership skills. It is related to your situation, to the social credit that your society, that your organization give you as a situation. In that situation, you are a leader. Out of that situation, you are not a leader. So because of that, it is called situational leadership, not personal leadership, not charismatic leadership. And the universal model says presume a direct cause and effect linkage between variables. It is very important. If you can find any cause and effect linkage between different variables in your personal life, you will have a good and clear sense of understanding what is happening in your life. What we call conflict resolution, or what we call conflict solutions. It is about the finding cause and effect linkage between different variables that apparently we see that there is no cause and effect linkage. But after understanding the linkage, we can find the good solutions for the problems. And the complexities of human behavior and organizational settings make universal conclusion virtually impossible. Think about the human development. There is a discussion about human development. One of the greatest questions about human development is that, is there any universal phases, stages for human development? For example, when somebody grow in Middle East, when somebody is Southern America, when somebody grows in North America, when somebody born and grow up in Africa and other parts of, for example, North Europe, is there any general universal stages for growing or not? Some scientists say yes. We take and we pass some general stages. For example, one of the greatest theory about the human development is coined by Piaget. Piaget was a, I think, German, I don't know, no, German or Dutch scientist that talk about human development, cognitive human development. He studies how we can gain our cognitive abilities. For example, thinking or perceiving the depth of something. It is a cognitive. For example, at the age of 2, you don't have any thinking about the depth of something. At the age of 4, you don't have any perception about why sexual people are different. At the age of 4, children doesn't know that yes, my mom will be always a female and my dad will be always a male. At the age of 4, children don't know about it. They think, yes, maybe after some years, my mom will be my dad and my dad. It is sexual consistency. At the age of 4, you don't have any sexual consistency. But at the age of 7, you have. It is called cognitive development, the development of your thinking, of your cognition. Piaget found 4 stages: sensory motor, pre-operational stage, concrete operational stage, and abstract thinking stage until the age of 12. He thought that after age of 12, you will not have any new stage of development. It's a model. By looking at this model, you can find that yes, from the first year of the learning until 12, your cognition will be complete, not your content, your abilities, your stages. It is about quality of thinking, not about the content of thinking. We are asking something like this in situational perspective, for example, in leadership and in organization. Complexity of human behavior and organizational setting make universal conclusion virtually impossible. Is it true or not? It is one of the questions in situational perspective. Interactionalist perspective, people and situation, interaction together. Not only people, not only situations. The company, the organization combined of 2 parts, people and situation. Focuses on how individuals and situations interact continuously to determine individuals' behavior, interact together. Attempts to explain how people select, interpret, and change various situations. You have 3 important words here. At first, you select, and after that, you have some interpretation about what you have selected, and finally you change something. It is about the management. What type of management you have that you cannot change anything. The major part of management and leadership is about changing. The present changing is the duty of managers. The future changing is the duty of leaders. But finally, it is about changing. At first selecting, and after that interpreting, giving some interpretation about what you have selected, and finally you can create some changes in your mind, in your organization, and other parts you are leading or managing. And managing for effectiveness. What is the meaning of effectiveness? How do you think about the meaning of effectiveness?
It works.
Effectiveness works. Definition of effectiveness. For example, we say industrial effectiveness, organizational effectiveness, leadership effectiveness, marital effectiveness, economic effectiveness. What does it mean, effectiveness? Is it the same outcome, the same benefit, the same profit? Is it the same meaning, for example, for efficiency? We have 2 words here, effectiveness and efficacy. Together, we call it efficiency. Some of the major and basic definitions says the ratio between output and input is effectiveness, efficiency, efficacy, whatever you want to call it. It is about the effectiveness, ratio of output to input, which is always smaller than 1, because during coming from input to output, you waste some resources. So output is always smaller than input. So the ratio is always smaller than 1. Manager's goal says enhance behaviors and attitudes. We are talking about the scales of measurement of effectiveness. Promote citizenship and minimize dysfunctional behavior. It is very important. A lot of people works hard but gain a leader. Why? Because they are wasting their time. It is not the smart working, the smart doing. It is only working and working and working. It is not functional behavior, dysfunctional. They are doing a lot of things, yes, but they don't gain anything. Why? Because this is dysfunctional. And drive strategic execution. Managing for effectiveness, it is about individual behaviors, productivity, performance, and commitment. Commitment is the same loyalty, no, the degree to which an employee considers herself a true member of the organization. Sometimes it is called organizational belongingness. Sometimes instead of saying commitment, it is called organizational belongingness. Overlooks minor sources of dissatisfaction and intends to stay with the organization. It's my family, it's my organization, it's my university. It is belongingness. Organizational citizenship or organizational belongingness, the behavior of individuals that makes a positive overall contribution to the organizational. We have 3 words here. First, positive. 2, overall. 3, contribution. You can have negative overall contribution, yes. It destroys anything for belongingness, for citizenship, for commitment to organization. Encompasses all factors outside the strict requirement of the job. It is organizational citizenship. And dysfunctional behaviors, behaviors that detract from or rather than contribute to organizational performance. Make you far from the organization, not near to the organization. Example, absenteeism. It's a dysfunctional behavior. Turnover, going out and coming and other people instead of you. Theft or sabotage, or harassment, bullying, violence, dysfunctional behaviors, very, very dysfunctional behaviors. Politicized behavior, spreading rumors and etc. And incivility and rudeness. These are dysfunctional behaviors that someone as an employee can have. I have a question. How do you think about the effect of absenteeism and turnover on organizational effectiveness? I know it is about the time and money. Why, in what situation, employees want to have a lot of absenteeism or turnover? Because it is a very popular problem in managing an organization, especially turnover. How do you think? As a future leader or a physician manager, how do you think to control or reduction of the absenteeism and turnover? Erica, how do you think? What's your procedure to reducing the rate of turnover or absenteeism in your future company as a manager?
Wait, what's the question again?
You will be a manager in an organization, for example, after 4 years, after 3 years. And you see that, wow, such a high rate of turnover we can find in our organization. After, for example, 6 months, people say to us, bye-bye, and another one will come again, training, again, wasting a lot of time. And again, after 6 months, people say, bye-bye, go to another company. It means turnover. And you will be a manager of your company. What's your procedure? What's your policy to solve this problem? How do you think? What are the causes? What are the reasons of turnover?
Um,
Your personal idea. It's not important, true or false. Your personal idea. Think about it.
so like why people keep leaving and
Mm-hmm.
to work. Maybe it's not as good as an environmental like a work environment. It's not a
Uh-huh.
environment. It makes people leave, or you're not picking up the right type of people to have working there. People that aren't.
What environmental elements you want to work on to reduce your turnover rate? What
Uh,
elements in your environment, work environment, you work on to reduce the turnover rate? Because turnover is the sign of dissatisfaction. When people are not satisfied, they go out. And you say, I think about the environment of the company. What elements of the environment of your company you want to work on to reduce the dissatisfaction and increase the satisfaction to lower the turnover rate? Money, happiness, good behavior, workload, holidays, what type of elements? Think about it after Joey talked to me. Joey, how do you think?
To reduce turnover, I would assume maybe there isn't enough room to grow and they leave. Another one could be they don't like the leadership. Maybe
Uh-huh.
leadership needs to be changed a little bit, or
What element of leadership do you think it is not so good for turnover? It destroys the organizational citizenship, organizational belongingness. What elements of leadership?
I would think that they're um, not being a good enough leader. That's pretty much the only thing that really comes to my mind. That there's no like hold on the organization at all.
Erica,
um,
in
they
addition to what Joy said, what do you think?
so like with the leader thing, it could be they're not like they don't really offer any guidance. It's more of they could be more of a like a boss rather than a leader. Like they just kind of boss you around telling you what to do and not so much guide you on how to do things or teach you how to become better at your job and stuff. Yes.
Oh. Don't forget, working people for you is like buying something. People buy with their emotions, not with their cognitions. People buy with their emotions, not by cognition, not by the logic. Sometimes your emotions is related to your pains, to your needs. Sometimes your emotion is related to your pleasures. The two major sources of your emotions, pains and pleasures, suffering and pleasure. A lot of needs is based on your pains. Sometimes they are very little parts of your needs related to your pleasure. It's something like that. If people think that working with you avoid them from feeling of pain or approach them to the feeling of honor, reputation, or pleasure, turnover will reduce. A lot of companies says, if you work with us or if you work for us, it's different. When you say to your employees that you are working with us, it's a good sense of organizational citizenship. And if you said you are working for us, it's a bad sense of organizational citizenship because you are our guest and guests go home. Turnover is the meaning of go home. Very, very, very detailed procedures, very detailed thinking for management. Only one word, working with us or working for us. For example, another. Okay, now we have 15 minutes for take the first week quiz, and it is related to your just do it or now. And thank you for joining the class. Any question?
Do we have to take the quiz while still in Zoom?
University says when you are a hybrid student, you should do at the time of the class, 15 minutes.
Okay.
And all the questions is about from chapter 1 and chapter 2 and PowerPoint. Because you are hybrid students, yes, you should do it just now. But about the absent student, I don't know what's the procedure of university. But it is better to do it now. It's very simple, very simple. Open the PowerPoints and search the questions and review the answer. And after that, it is about, I think, 5 or 6 multiple choice questions. I'm here. Bye.